Okay, well, this is Bridgemon here, and, Dekalb County, there's a lot going on. I invited you all to come to some forums that I organized with my great organization.
I don't live in Dekalb. What am I going to do?
It doesn't matter. You should be involved. You're a documentary film artist, correct?
No. Not quite.
But,
one day.
Well, I wish I had been there.
This is how you can start.
Well, I really
sounds exciting.
I really wish you had been there.
Why should I make a documentary on it?
This forum, because the Commission 5 district has been without representation for 2 years. This was Lee May's former seat as a commissioner. When he was appointed to be interim CEO by Governor Deal, he was going to be the CEO and the commissioner at the same time, but because of his responsibilities to the CEO position, he was not able to serve the people of the 5th district in the capacity they needed. And he just recently, 2 months ago, resigned his position, and that put in a need for a special election.
And the issue there is that he's the interim CEO because
of Burl Ellis
is being charged. And so he said as long as he's interim, he's only been elected to one position, which is commissioner. But it looks like he's there was a lot of blowback against that, so now he's changed his mind.
Yeah, well, he looks like Burl Ellis is being retried, and it looks like they're going to get him this time.
All right,
and I think that's really
so. Lee May is probably making the calculation that he's going to keep the CEO position, which is the equivalent of almost being like the mayor of the county in a way.
Yeah, in a way, it's like the chief executive official of the county. Exactly, and they have a county manager who is separate. They work together hand in hand, but the county manager is hired by the commission,
similar to a city manager,
right? Like a city manager.
All right.
And so we had 6 candidates out of 10 show up for the forum that was held yesterday, hosted by the Dekalb County Young Democrats, which I am the president of. And
what was your total turnout? Just throw out a number. How many people you think showed up?
Approximately 40 to 50 people.
Okay.
I mean, I had a sign-in sheet. It's like 20 names on each page. I went through I was the top of the 3rd page. So
cool.
So it was enough people. Some people had to stand up, actually. It was a packed house.
Now, I know you led this event, but would you indulge us with any candidates that you thought were impressive?
I was actually more impressed by Von Irons than any other candidate. Well, I will say that 4 of the candidates did not show up. They had other obligations. But
allegedly?
You had Von Irons, Catherine Rice, Kenneth Saunders III, George Turner, and Gina Mungham. It's the lady who was behind that biomass facility a couple years ago when we went to that.
Out in Dekalb County.
Dekalb County, yeah. So she was back in the streets running again. But I would say I was really, really impressed by Von Irons in the fact that I did not like him because of so much of the things that I had heard about him involving his allegations with corruption issues. Apparently, there were situations where he owns a property management firm, and he's gotten contracts from the county, and there were some questions around if some of the board members were working with him, and we took him to task on that. Out of all the forums that they had on this, and there's been like a forum every day since they opened for election. There's been like 10 forums. So the first time anybody asked him about any of these ethics violations was last night at our meeting. We asked him.
How did he take it?
Yeah, well, we asked him. We said, given the recent allegations surrounding your finances, can you please explain to us why the people of DeKalb County should trust you to move DeKalb County in an ethical and moral direction? Or something along the lines. We had, Falik Hindash. She was our moderator.
Oh, yeah, terrific person in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, president of the Red Clay Democrats. She was our moderator. She also serves as Speaker Abrams' personal secretary, and she does a lot of things for the Democratic caucus down at the state capitol. And he first thing he said was, "Thank you for asking that question." And that kind of took me back a little bit. I was like, he's really about to give a good answer when he said that, because I could tell that he had been waiting to answer that question for so long and nobody would ask it. And he went on to say, you know, I am the most scrutinized candidate in this race. My finances have been looked at, and nothing was found there. There's been this federal investigation. I'm not guilty of anything. I took a lie detector test, and as far as everything goes on these allegations, the information is out there. And he was taken back a little bit. The line of this campaign, the whole campaign that I will remember, was when he looked at George Cheedy and said, there's a difference between journalists and writers. And I was kind of taken back. It was kind of, because him and George have been going back and forth. The campaign and George have been having a lot of shade going on because George was making a lot of, alluding to a lot of the facts of his allegations. This is the guy who tried to get the non-casino. Y'all heard about that? It's basically a gambling hall with coin-operated machines. And
would that be in underground Atlanta?
No, it was going to be in Dekalb County off Covenant Highway.
Interesting.
And a piece of property that his property management firm owns.
Doesn't sound like the best idea.
Exactly. So, you know, a lot of people were looking at him as like the shady, crooked guy. But, you know, I will say that, you know, I was most impressed out of him because I feel like a lot of people came there and expected something else than what he presented. He changed a lot of people's mind on that evening. But, you know, I will say Kenneth Saunders III, he's the youngest one running. He did pretty good. He talked about how the process, the opportunities the youth had when he was growing up in DeKalb County. He went to elementary, middle, and high school in the county, and he said there was more opportunity for him as a youth than there is today for the youth of DeKalb County. So he was talking about starting some programs to get the youth involved in civic engagement, you know, make it something that will cooperate with the school board to where we could have a program where maybe troubled kids get some type of extra credit for working with the county and doing volunteer work. And in DeKalb County, they're switching over to 1 day a week trash. And George Turner, another candidate, he informed us that, because I made a proposal of starting a program, we get volunteers, young people to help out elderly people take out their trash, people who have nobody to take out their trash. Well, I was actually informed that they're starting when, I think it's July 15th, 16th, somewhere around then, when we move to the once a week trash, they're going to have, you can apply, like elderly people can apply to have the trash collector pick up their trash from the back of their house. They don't have to be burdened with taking it to the curb. And Catherine Rice.
That's good exercise.
Catherine Rice, she...
Keep them out of the hospital.
We want to encourage inactivity. That's why Americans are so
older,
healthy.
you can't walk. You're an old lady walking with a cane. You know, you have nobody...
Sure there's some, yeah, but I mean...
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's going to be specific for people who really need it. But
the north and eastern...
Doctor's note.
Doctors know.
The northern and eastern parts of DeKalb County, which is most of DeKalb County, is pretty nice. I mean, people would generally say very nice parts of the county. But the southeastern, or I should say southwestern part of the county is not. That's the part of the county that usually has more problems. The 5th district that this race is for is not in that part of the county, right?
it's in the South.
Or is it partly?
It's in South DeKalb. It's Decatur, Lithonia, Stone Mountain.
Well, that's normally I would consider that sort of a nicer part of the county, right?
Well, I would say, you know, Arabian Mountain is in that district. It's one of the only National Historic Sites in the state of Georgia.
And incomes are pretty solid in that area. I believe crime is relatively low. Am I correct?
I mean, the crime is a problem all over in the county, but I would say that it's there is more wealth in the Lithonia area, as particularly if you go around the Stonecrest area, out towards Browns Mill. There are some houses in excess of $500,000.
Yes, it's quite. I mean, it's quite nice. You have very nice areas. You have middle class areas, but I think most people would say the southeastern part is a part that really needs redevelopment or some kind of change. Did anybody running for commissioner mention anything about that, or did they seem more focused on their own district alone?
Well, again, I would say that you know, they all commit to being being hands-on with the rest of the county. But I would say Von Irons, he's has an economic development plan for Memorial Drive Corridor, Stonecrest area, and Covenant Highway. He's talking about, trying to attract some businesses to the city, to the county. And Gina Maham, she talked about improving our green spaces. And actually, now that we're going to a once a week trash pickup, having some of these trash men go out and pick up some of the trash on our main corridors like Memorial Drive and, up and down South Harrison and Candler Road, and start planting some trees to beautify the area, make people have a better sense of community in the area, because they say when you beautify the area, people will in turn treat. If you look out, if you see trash on the ground everywhere, you're not gonna think twice about throwing a couple.
So it's better if we clear cut some area and throw all the trash there. So we want the facade of being environmentally conscious.
We already have
some nice trees and
we already have a landfill, and I will say that
I'm just messing with you.
The way it's managed is pretty good. And one thing that was brought up yesterday, you got all these cities trying to be curated, but at the same time, you're still gonna need. You're still gonna have to use county facilities. If you live in Dunwoody, you live in La Vista Hills, you live in Tucker, you're still gonna have to put your trash in Lithonia. So either you're gonna have to pay to have trash pickup, or your taxes should be included with So either way, you're gonna go into cityhood. People go into cityhood because they want to have more say so what they do with their tax money. But in the end, we should be using all of that money collectively to advance the entire DeKalb County. Because if I live in Tucker and I drive to work on a county road, maybe I should pay for the upkeep of that road.
Socialism.
I mean, that's just the way government works. Government pays for infrastructure, does it not? I mean, and if you are a city or you are part of the county, incorporated, unincorporated, you should take on a percentage of the burden. And one thing that was a big topic, we asked all the candidates, would you take on Kasim Reed and the Atlanta City Council if they try to annex the Druid Hills CDC area? And all of the candidates said they would do whatever it took to keep that area a part of unincorporated DeKalb, because if we have a city of Dunwoody, we have a city of Chamblee, a city of Brookhaven, you still part of DeKalb County, and that money that you're collecting as taxes is still going to flow into the county some way, somehow.
And most importantly, for the county education system.
Right. But if you annex the city of Atlanta, that's taking money out of the county and it goes towards Atlanta education, because APS would take they would be basically and essentially, if they annex that area, Druid Hills, DeKalb School of Arts, I believe Cross Creek High School, they all go into the APS system. And I just want to speak briefly about the town hall Hank Johnson did at the Lou Walker Center.
Hank Johnson.
Yeah, and his wife is actually running for commissioner too, Marita Johnson. She,
in the 5th district as well.
In the fifth commission district.
Do her chances look good at all?
I mean, she has the name recognition, and she's been able to raise a substantial amount of money. She has people like Meredith Lilly, Rashad Ritchie on her campaign, so I would say
she's got a good crew.
She's probably would be considered the front runner. I would say she's kind of struggled at some of the forums, but this is the first time she's ran for office, and this is probably going to lead into a runoff. So I'm probably thinking maybe after what I saw last night, it's probably going to be Von Irons and Marita Johnson runoff.
Very interesting. Well, at the Hank Johnson event, do people still think that he's relevant? Did anyone come out to see him? I mean, he's made a lot of comments that have caused people to laugh at him.
A lot of people. When you talk about people laughing at him, you're talking about Republicans like Bill O'Reilly and Cheyenne Hannity, and they've had him on their programs because of that, so they look at it as an opportunity to laugh at him.
I also believe self-described Democrats, including myself, have laughed at him quite frequently.
Well, I consider that quite unfortunate, because he's taking the lead in the Congress on fighting police militarization. He actually has been pushing it so hard. President Obama has signed an executive order to actually reduce some of the military grade equipment going to some of these local police municipalities, and that's a direct result of what Hank Johnson has been doing in the Congress.
And has he also been continuing the fight of demilitarization of Guam so that it doesn't become unstable?
Okay, everybody talks about this situation like he has a sense of humor, and it comes out the wrong way a lot of the times. And that whole comment on Guam was not meant to say that he believes that it's going to sink into the ocean. He's saying that the ecological carrying capacity of the island cannot sustain an influx of troops of the numbers they were proposing at that time. That's where they get that whole Guam was sinking into the island.
The military official that he was questioning, because this was an official Congress panel that was questioning a high-up official, the official did ask him if he was being serious, and he said that he was. Isn't that correct?
He was
to say afterwards that he was kidding when he was given an option at the time.
He was saying
himself.
that he was serious about the influx of troops on the island having a negative impact on the island ecosystem.
See, that's like something I would say. You guys call me unelectable. The fuck?
Yeah, he's saying that he's saying that the island can't sustain that many people. The islands.
Go back and watch the video. He distinctly says tipped over, and he uses body language to describe the island
Like the
tipping
Titanic.
over.
That's carrying capacity of. We talk about the carrying capacity of an ecosystem.
System.
Go flip the world. We get too many people on one side.
That was years ago, and he's done a lot of things in the Congress. Like I said, he's trying to do grand jury reform. He's got Republicans and Democrats. Some of the more libertarian Republicans have sided with him on issues of police militarization. He's actually had a lot of cooperation with Rand Paul in the Senate on trying to produce a bill that mirror his police militarization bill in the Senate. In the House, in the Senate, so they could have.
Was that the crux of his town hall discussion?
Well, that was a lot of people there. They had a variety of issues they wanted to talk about, but I would say that everything that's going on in the black community, and his district is 80% African American. That did take up a lot of the time, because some of the people there were a part of the Black Lives Matter movement. You had. People who were concerned about some of the shootings that have gone on in the district. And, everybody always wants to talk about white cops killing black cops, white police municipalities being hard on minority communities. But if I were to ask you what police department has killed more African-American men in the state of Georgia in the last 5 years, what would you say it was? DeKalb County. It is absolutely DeKalb County. DeKalb County has killed more African Americans than any other county in the state of Georgia.
But DeKalb County also has the biggest African American population for any police force. Right?
Well, not Fulton has more.
But Fulton is divided between Fulton County Police and Atlanta Police, correct?
But DeKalb County is divided between North DeKalb and South DeKalb.
But most of the African Americans that live in DeKalb County live in South DeKalb.
Right, but you have police shootings all over the county. Tony Hill was actually killed in Chamblee. That's the gentleman who was a veteran, and he was suffering from PTSD. He was running around the streets naked. And
that's some bullshit. You can't shoot a naked man. What the fuck? There's no excuse, dude. Not unless he's trying to hump you or something.
And the police officer who shot him, he has been on administrative leave, still collecting the paycheck.
That's how it works.
Yeah, and it's very
paid vacation as a cop, just shoot some naked dude.
Yeah, and it's a shame that you should. That's very unfortunate, and so Hank Johnson looks at it as less of a white on black problem, as more as a militarization.
It's not. It's about not even just that. It's accountability. If there was accountability, like Bernie Sanders talks about, he's the only politician I've heard talk about say the A word when it comes to police brutality. It's the only solution. Like, yeah, racism is a huge part of it, but the only solution is accountability. You got to make the system somehow make these officers accountable when they do this shit. If that doesn't happen, it doesn't matter if they don't have, APCs or whatever running through the streets. They still have a gun on their hip and they still get away with it. shit's still gonna happen.
And didn't Hillary Clinton give a speech about this as well?
Yeah, she did.
I'm sure she. And her husband is the one who
was,
militarized the police, and
was better written and.
I'm sure it was better written because Bernie writes his own in his shower.
But you gotta
Well,
Hillary's probably got a team of 30 writers.
And I will argue that Bill Clinton, it's a lot of the problems that we see in the black community are based off.
So
of
why don't black people recognize that? You're talking about how much black people like Bill Clinton.
Because
why don't they recognize all the bad things?
Hillary Clinton,
Democrat.
That's because the reason why Bill Clinton moved to the right on crime was because he was being pushed to the right on crime by the Republican Party. It was Reagan and Bush that had this big influx on the war on drugs, and the talking point was if we elect this liberal president, he's gonna be soft on crime, and you're gonna see.
And so he's like, no, don't worry, I'll be just like you.
Yeah, and that was his pushback. His pushback was to be tougher on crime. So when in '96 when he went for re-election, you can't say that I'm soft on crime. Well, if you look, he started 3 strikes you're out. A lot of these programs, the mandatory minimums, all Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton recognizes this, and and her talking points have been. What I've heard is, I'm going to rectify some of these issues that we did not foresee.
She has been a lot more progressive on this issue than her husband ever was.
Right.
But it's still my understanding that most of the buildup of this was done under Nixon, Reagan, and then Bush Sr., and then Bush Jr. with more of the militarization aspect of it. Right?
Yeah, a lot of the Patriot Act and that had a lot to do with it. But
didn't the real buildup of police forces in this country happen under Clinton? Like where the number of police just exploded?
But
yes, I know that that's the case.
That's local
Wikipedia.
Yes, we can look that up real fast. But I still believe that the drug laws and the policies that got a lot of police to be as abusive as they were largely Nixonian.
But it's not the law. It's not the law
in origin.
It's not. It's not the law. It's how they don't get prosecuted at all.
But Nixon,
there's no real accountability. Like there never was.
There was not an organized war on drugs that Nixon instituted compared to the one that Reagan
instituted. I agree with that.
So if you look at the genesis of it, yes, the seed was planted by Nixon, but the fruit was harvested by the Reagan administration. And
the difference of Reagan-style enforcement versus going after the large scale.
Hey, the Clinton Foundation pledged $120 million for police and schools.
I mean that was really the difference, as you saw with the Reagan administration. This push to, for example, they had the DARE program where they fly. They're like, if your parents use drugs, tell the police. And it was this real micro level policing and enforcement of laws that were already on the books. You're right, generally, but Nixon administration, he primarily put the drug war in place to try to crack down on the counterculture. He just wanted to use that as a weapon, similar to how they got Al Capone on tax fraud. They wanted to use that as a weapon to bring down individuals they didn't like in primarily the anti-war movement. They would just, catch them with some marijuana or some other type of substance, and then use it as a prosecutorial offense.
Rest in peace, Abby Hoffman.
Bars. Yeah. So I mean that's really the difference, is that Nixon did that not so much to stop drugs, but to use it as a prosecutorial offense.
And I mean we criminalized drugs because they were minorities used them, and minorities are terrifying.
Yeah, Mexicans and black people use marijuana.
Chinese smoking opium, all you weird non-white people, scaring the hell out of me with your drugs. Why don't you drink beer and get white?
Right.
Yeah. That happens until white people do all those drugs everyone else.
No, then we gotta legalize it.
But then you understand,
like Colorado, where there's no black people.
They take everyone else's drugs and do even more of it.
But then it's crazy is because when white people do the same things that black people do or Hispanics do, they get less time consistently. If you all ever met Tim Franzen?
Oh God!
Yeah, that's it. That's how he got involved in activism. He was looking at going to jail for like 10 years, and the black kids in front of him, the judge gave them like 5 and 6 years, and then it was his turn. It was and the judge said, "You know what, young man, I'm gonna give you a chance." And that's when he was awakened to the injustices and the criminal justice.
Oh, really? So he had like a come to Jesus moment there?
Yeah, because he was he did like a year on probation for the same crime that he had saw other people in the courtroom get prison time for.
Cool. Yeah, I know he had something like that, but
yeah, and it happens consistently. It's almost
All right,
You know?
so that's Dekalb County.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
world.